Hello friends and welcome back to the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel. My name is Deepa from Designs by Dee, and today I'll be sharing this gorgeous butterfly card with you. And be prepared for the center because the inside of it has a pop-up butterfly. So I really want to show you how to make this 3D butterfly on the front and to also have it fly on the inside of your card as well. So we're going to be using the Luna Meraki Paradise. Sorry, I don't have the original packaging, but everything that I'm using is linked in the description below, so you can check it out there in the Crafty Meraki store. We're also going to be using the Mosaic. I'm sorry, what word was that I said? The Meraki Mosaic hot foil plate to create our background, and then I've also got the Elegance set for the sentiment. Now, for the main portion of the butterfly, or at least the cutout portion, I cut it out of some champagne glitter cardstock. For the body, I cut it out of some gold mirror cardstock. And 4 times I cut out of white cardstock the outline of the butterfly. Now there is one more die in there with just a little, like small little cutouts. I'm not going to be using that one for this project. And keep in mind I did cut out those glitter pieces twice, okay? Now for the background, I actually had this foiled from before. I'm using this opal foil from Spellbinders, and basically I used that with the Meraki Mosaic hot foil plate to hot foil that white piece of cardstock, that white cardstock. And again, as I said, I had that one done ahead of time, so I just kind of grabbed it, and I just wanted to show you what I used for it. But you would just foil that as you normally would any hot foil plate. Now for the butterflies, which is what I want to focus on today, and then that interactive portion on the inside of the card, I'm going to add some color, and I'll be adding color in terms of Distress Oxide ink. Now the reason why I chose a Distress Oxide ink is, one, it goes on really nicely and the colors mix really nicely, and for butterflies you'll notice that their colors, they're always kind of seamless, and if they're not one of the ones that sections off the colors, they kind of flow from one to the next, and that's why I really wanted to use some inks which blend really well. Now for this one, I'm using Wilted Violet, Picked Raspberry, and then I think on the top there I use some Peacock Feathers, and you'll notice that the Peacock Feathers blends into the Picked Raspberry and creates another type of bluey purple, so it creates a whole different tone on its own, which is also why I love these colors. Now, another trick to ink blending, and I do a lot of ink blending. If you've seen my videos on the channel, I just love it. I love colors. So anyways, what you want to do is you always start with, say, your first color, so the Wilted Violet, then come in with the Picked Raspberry. And then I always like to go over that join between the two colors with the Wilted Violet again. And then the same thing when I go from the Picked Raspberry to the Peacock Feathers. I'll add the Peacock Feathers, and then I'll come back over that join of the two colors with the Picked Raspberry, and this is what I find helps the mixing and the blending of the two colors. So it looks kind of splotchy there, but don't worry about it because the colors kind of blend a little more as time goes on, and also you're going to have that glitter portion on the top of it. So it's just going to look really pretty. Now for my background, remember that piece, that panel that we foiled, I'm actually going to do some splatter, and this is going to tie in the background to the butterfly. I've put down some of those oxide inks on like a palette, and for me a palette is just a piece of cardstock that I've laminated, and I use this when I do watercoloring or any type of technique like this. I always like to have that handy. And I've just kind of smushed it down, each ink color onto that palette, and I've added a little bit of water. Now I'm grabbing a paintbrush. I like to pick a larger paintbrush for this technique because I find that it just creates more splatter, and you just have to do a lot more tapping, which can kind of wear on your arm and your wrist if you're using the smaller paintbrush. So I'm picking up the colors and I'm adding lots of splatter. And there is a method to my madness here. I'm trying to mimic the color pattern that we have on the butterfly. It probably won't even be apparent in the end, but this is just my idea. And I wanted to take the purple and concentrate that in the bottom, the Wilted Violet, and then I'm concentrating the Picked Raspberry in the center. And then I'm concentrating the Peacock Feathers at the top left. And that's basically how we're going to position our butterfly on an angle going from the bottom right to the top left. And then to tie in some of that gold that we have in the gold glitter cardstock, I added some gold shimmer watercolor as well. gold metallic watercolor, sorry. So then I took that panel, put it aside. I've got this panel here. I've cut out the glitter cardstock to 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then I'm going to cut this panel down another 1/4 inch more. So that would be 3 3/4 by 5. So I'm gradually creating like borders around the edges by coming in 1/4 inch on each side. And I've also cut out 2 white pieces in the same size as I did that background panel with all the splatter. Now for my card base, I didn't want to use white because we have a lot of white going on anyways. I wanted to kind of break up the white with a bit of color, and I chose this gold shimmer cardstock. So I'm just going to cut this down to an A2 sized side folding card base, and I'm just going to fold it up. It's got, again, you're going to lose a lot of that shimmer because we're going to be covering it up. You're just going to get a little bit peeking out of the sides, but it looks very pretty when you put everything together. So you can see how all those borders work out. Now, on the center 2 panels, as I said, I've cut out these pieces to be the same size as the panel on the front, not the glitter cardstock panel, but the splatter panel. And I'm just kind of marking where they would sit. I'm not really going to end up putting it there, but it just gives me a little bit of a guideline as to where I should place those panels in the end. For the butterfly contraption in the center of the card, I'm just going to take some really strong adhesive. This is a double-sided adhesive. I think the size is 1/8 inch, and I'm just placing it in the center of that gold glitter butterfly. And I'm just going to attach that. So I really want the wings to be movable, and it's only attached in that very center, which is why I use the strong adhesive. Now, in order to fold this in half and do it nicely, I'm scoring it right down the center. So I just picked a line. I picked 6 inches there, and I just scored it right down the center and folded it so I get a nice straight fold. Same thing with this butterfly here, except I scored it at 6 and then 3/8 inch to the right. Then on the second butterfly, I'll score it in the center and then 3/8 inch to the left. So it's the same thing, except one's has a second score on the right side and one has a second score on the left side. That's 3/8 inch out, right? And that's how we're going to create our 2 sides to kind of attach this butterfly to the center of the card. Okay, so the next task is to actually fold down these folds, or these scored lines. So I'm folding one on one side, and you'll see you end up with the correct size wing on one end, and then on the other end it's just like a bit of a smaller wing. And we'll do the same thing here, and you'll see when you put it together, you'll see you get a small little butterfly in the back and the normal sized one in the front. Now what we want to do is attach these 2 pieces on that center fold there. I did put adhesive on both ends. You don't need to. You can just put it on one of these butterflies because you're going to attach it together. But I put a lot of strong adhesive there so that it's not going anywhere. And make sure when you do this, you match up the right sides, and they should match as long as you're matching up face to face of your die cut. I'm going to burnish that down there really nice and well. And then when I fold this, you'll get that same effect with the small butterfly in the back, a straight line in the center, and then a big butterfly on the front. Now my next task is to attach this to the card base. So I'm just again adding more strong double-sided adhesive to that small butterfly. Okay, so it's the smaller butterfly. We're not going to really see this bit. And I'll just remove the release paper. And when you place this, you want to make sure that you're placing it right along the score line for your card base. That way when you fold it, it's going to fold nicely. And you could place this wherever you want. You could put it higher up, further down. I tried to place it a little bit higher than just the center so that it's kind of like the butterflies flying. And you'll see I can fold it and open it. And there you go. Now, one thing I wanted to mention is I did cut out the body for the butterfly that's going to go on the front of the card. However, for this butterfly in the center, I did not cut out the body. And the reason is simply this. When you fold that butterfly in half, that body is so thin that when it folds, it's not going to unfold, or it's just going to get crimpled up. It's not going to look nice. So I just decided to scrap the body on the inside of the card, and we just have the actual wings on the inside of the card, which I'm telling you, no one's really going to notice. If it bothers you that much, you can maybe add the head and the antenna. Or if you wanted, maybe you could cut it in half very nicely and glue it on, but then again, you'd get a seam in the center. It wouldn't really look that great. So this was basically my solution for that. I just have the wings and it looks pretty. So now that I've got the contraption on there, I've attached the butterfly to the piece in the center, the actual colored butterfly with the glitter and all. Now I just have to add my side panels to cover up that little butterfly that we used to attach it. And all I did was kind of eyeball it and place those panels in the right position beside each other. There's a little bit of a line in the center which allows that that interactive or that 3D butterfly to fly. So yeah, and that's basically the inside portion of the card. Now I just have to put together the front. Now again, I'm attaching that glitter outline part of the butterfly in the center there, and as I said, I folded it. I'm making sure that the wings, they can still move, right? Because I want it to have that 3D effect. On this one here, I've got the body, so because this is going to stay flat and it's not really going to be folded, and it's the front of the card, you can add the body. Now, once I've got that all attached there, I'm going to go ahead and attach that splattered panel to the gold glitter cardstock. And remember, this is going to create a nice little border around of that gold peeking out. And then I will attach my butterfly. Now, before I do that, I want my sentiment. So let's go ahead and stamp that out. I've got the Elegant stamp set here, and I love the sentiments on this one, which is why I chose this one. It's a bit of an older stamp set, but it's really gorgeous. I love this one. The sentiment says, dance like no one's watching, and I figured since the butterfly would kind of be flying, it's kind of like it's dancing, so I thought it would go with it, and it's just a nice sentiment in general. So for this one, I'm actually going to heat emboss this with some gold embossing powder. And I figured, again, the gold's going to fit in with the gold that I have on the butterfly and in the borders of the card and everything. So I'll go ahead, stamp this out, melt the embossing powder to the cardstock, and then I just pretty much have to cut it out with the die. Please excuse my head getting in the way there, but another reason why I chose this set is because I do have the dies to cut this one out, and I find that the cutout, it works well for this because I don't want to cover up too much of that splatter in the background. So to attach this, I'm going to use some strips of foam adhesive, and that's going to give the sentiment a little bit of lift too, along with the butterfly. The butterfly I'm also going to attach with some foam square adhesives, and that will probably be the front, and then it's just a matter of putting everything together. Now, if you're wondering about this Luna butterfly die, it's absolutely gorgeous. I love this die. This is my first time working with it, but it's really pretty. The dies cut very nicely, and it is available in the store, and in a big way. You'll probably see this more in the future. It I think is a restock item and will definitely be flying off the shelves at some point, so I would get your hands on that if you can. So now for my gems, I'm not going to add too many, just a few, because we have a lot of shimmer and shine going on here already. For the gems here, I used the Meraki Sparkle African Violet. It's gorgeous. It's violet and then kind of has like a pink shine to it, which goes with the colors that we used in our butterfly. So I thought that this would work perfectly. And now that everything's kind of adhered, you can see how it comes together. We have all of that 3D going on with the butterfly in the front, and then you have the butterfly in the center. You can see you can kind of make it fly if you shake it a little bit too. So that's my card for today. I hope you'll give this card with this little 3D element a try, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel. And as I mentioned, everything that I've used is linked in the description below. I'll see you guys again next week. Bye.